Okay, so today's video, instead of reviewing a figure, is going to be focused on reviewing the G-Fest VIP experience and answering the question, is it worth it? And the answer, spoiler alert, is it depends, which sounds like a cop-out, I realize, but it truly does depend. It depends on what you are going to G-Fest for, what you want out of the experience, because the VIP experience at G-Fest is like a 6-course meal. And if you don't like salads and you're too full for dessert, you're not going to get your money's worth. So it really truly does depend. I'm going to tell you my experience and, take that with a grain of salt because we might be looking for different things for G-Fest. So for this video, I'm going to go through what the experience entails, what they said it would entail, what I experienced, and how that kind of compares to some of the other VIP experiences that I've had. So now this is not sponsored by G-Fest in any way. This is not designed to promote them. This is just my feedback. But G-Fest, if you are listening and you want some kaiju cocktail recipes, let me know. I'm happy to help. But this is also not designed to disparage G-Fest. I do have some criticisms, and G-Fest, if you are listening, please take these to heart and see what you can do about making the experience better for future G-Fest attendees. And that's what I really want here. I want everyone to have a great time. If they're making the trek out to G-Fest and spending that money to get there, I want them to just have an absolute blast. I've seen a lot of people over the years going to G-Fest for their first time and they're not quite sure what to expect. So here's a little bit of info for you if you've never been or you've never done the VIP thing. Or if you've done VIP stuff at other events. I've done, God, so many. I did D-Con, San Francisco Godzilla Fest, All Monsters Attack, gosh, Kaiju Go, Kaiju Brooklyn. So I'm going to be comparing my experience with those, with the G-Fest experience, talking about what the G-Fest experience all entails. And you can kind of extrapolate from there whether or not that is something that you would want to do. Now, I do want to start off by saying that VIP for G-Fest is brand new. They started in 2024, then just this past year in 2025 was their second year, and they had already made some changes between them. I'm not sure what it's going to look like for 2026. I know by the time this video gets up, they might already have the tickets out and long sold out, so I apologize for the lateness of this. But hopefully you get some good info. So with Godzilla PBR in hand, let's dive in. Now with the other VIP experience I've done, they ranged 100, typically 150 bucks. I think the San Francisco Godzilla Fest was 165. That was the highest until G-Fest. In 2024, I'm checking my notes here just to make sure, it looks like it was 205 bucks for the VIP experience, which was a lot. That's a big ask. And that is a big ask not just compared to everything else, but also considering the fact that the tickets go up for sale early December, right? And you don't have any guest announcements. You don't know what movies are showing. You can assume who's going to be in the vendor hall because it's typically the same vendors each year, but you know nothing aside from which weekend it's going to be. So to have people drop that much money hoping for specific movies to be shown, hoping for specific guests, that is a big ask. And I think it's wild. And I know most conventions do this. They put up the tickets first because part of them being able to get these films and get these guests is using the money from ticket sales. So I understand there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's a lot. Now, it was even more in 2025 because they raised it to 230 bucks. Now, it was a little bit less than 230, but there were transaction fees and stuff. So it was $230.63 is how much I ended up spending on that, which is a lot. That's a crazy amount. Now, for comparison, the early bird weekend pricing is, I want to say 65, somewhere 65, 85, somewhere in there is the early bird, somewhere's the general admission. So you're paying what, almost triple for the VIP experience. So here is what they said it would entail. So this is the order that they put it in. I'm gonna explain this all and then go through chronologically what I experienced. VIP, early access to the autograph room. So it opens at 11, but you get in half an hour early Friday and Saturday, and then 15 minutes early on Sunday. So that's cool that they have that throughout the entire weekend and not just the first day, because I know some events have just the first day is early and then everything else is normal. So that's really cool. Preferred seating for the opening ceremonies and the cosplay contest. The costume parade, that fills up. It's insane. I remember one year, the room was overflowing and they had a secondary room of overflow attendees who could watch it on a screen. And even then that was full and I couldn't get in. So I'm like, shoot. So yeah, that is definitely something. So there's a roped off VIP seating area. Tickets to the Friday and Saturday night movies. I believe those were $15 a piece, so that's a $30 value right there for the movies. Entry to the after party Sunday night, I want to say it was $45 for the tickets that you could buy specifically for that. Then you get a goodie bag, which I'll show that off in a little bit, with a t-shirt and a ticket for the G-Fans Helping G-Fans raffle and some other kaiju goodies. Early badge pickup on Thursday at 11 a.m. and early entry to the dealer's room, early entry to Artist Alley, half an hour early for each. They each open at 10, but you get in at 9:30, and then again with early to the autograph room as well. Now, I don't remember how far in advance they posted this information because the tickets went on sale and sold out within seconds. So in 2024, I had a whole group of friends. We were all going to get the VIP. And out of, I think, 6 of us, I was the only one who was able to check out within that time frame before they all sold out. It's my understanding there were only 20 VIP tickets for 2024, which does feel very VIP when there's 20 compared to like Designer Con, where it's like 500. I'm not joking. One year we counted, we were number like 485 in line. And I think they upped it for 2025 up to 50. Which is still small enough to feel VIP and how many thousands of attendees there. But it was nice that they increased that because I know people were mad that it sold out in seconds. And again, it did sell out in seconds. So we'll see what happens for the 2026 event. So starting off Thursday, early badge pickup. So first off, the badge itself is a different color. I think there was like a red one and a green one. Different colors for if you had just the VIP or the general admission, or if you were a vendor helper. I think those might have been green. It's cool that, it's a little unique thing if you like to collect those. I know some people do. Again, you got Bob Eggleton's art on there, which is awesome. And it does say VIP pass. So we will be coming back to this when we talk about Friday. So here's the thing. The line for the vendor hall is crazy, but the crazier line is the line for registration. Friday morning, since most people arrive like late Thursday night, then they can't check in because check-in's only like 11 a.m. to 3 or 4 p.m. or something on Thursday. So if you get in any later than that, then you have to check in Friday morning. And if you want to get into the vendor hall as soon as it opens, that's not going to happen because that check-in line is insane. Because I think that opens not too long before the vendor hall, if at all before the vendor hall. So by that point, you get your badge, you go in, there's a crazy line because that line fills up starting at like 2 in the morning. Some people like spend the night just camped out right there, which is bananas. So if you do want to experience the early check-in, you have to be there Thursday, which is kind of a big ask to take work off, spend another extra night in the hotel kind of thing. So if they could open up the registration like stupid early on Friday, that would help get things moving and get people into the vendor hall when that opens, or to the autographs, or to, I think the first panel also starts at like 10 a.m. And I know some people show up like early, like a week early. I've heard of people coming in a week early and run around Chicago, go to the Field Museum and stuff. Then they do G-Fest and then they stay a few days after, or maybe even a week after. Some people just show up for a day. So again, it really varies what experience you want to have or can afford to have. Now here's the thing. I don't know if it was like a separate check-in for VIPs and general admission, or if you got to cut the line, or if you got to check in early and everyone else had to check in at like 11:30 or 12 or something, because I didn't check in until like 1:30 and there was no line at that point. So I didn't get to see what exactly it was. But what I did get is the swag bag. So you get the goodie bag. It's got the G-Fest Bob Eggleton art on there, which is pretty sweet. I'm not really a tote baggy kind of person, but it was cool to have, to store stuff in. It's a neat little souvenir. I don't think they sold these at the merch booth, so I think only VIPs could get those, so that's pretty cool. In the merch bag, they had those Godzilla AR pins, some augmented reality thing. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a super pin person, but it's cool that it's like official Godzilla merch in there. I don't know if they were all Godzilla or if some people got, I think there was a Mechagodzilla as well, or different colors. I don't know. I didn't really get to compare with other VIP folks. But that's a neat thing because those are what, like 20, 25, 30 bucks kind of thing. So that's a nice value right there. My favorite thing in the whole bag, which is going to sound silly, is this. The little G-Fantas mascot figure. This is 3D printed plastic filament. I'm not sure who the maker is. There's no information on the bottom, but it does look nearly identical to the little mini Kaiju Live mascot. The exact same proportions, the same kind of pose and everything, the way the mouth is open. So I think they commissioned the same artist to just modify that design and do a Gphantus, which is cool. I love that, like, they're kind of sibling mascots on my shelf. This is something that I hope to see in the vendor hall, and there was none. I didn't see them on any tables. I don't know if they only came in blue, or if each person got a different color, or if they're gonna do this every year in a different color. I don't know. I want more of these, which sounds bizarre out of all the things, but this is what I want out of a VIP experience, some like little exclusive thing. Now here's the thing, if I wasn't doing VIP, I would, hope that someone wants to sell theirs. So if you have like these in the vendor hall that everyone could buy, or at the merch booth or something, but then like the one that's exclusive to the VIP bag is, I don't know, glow in the dark or something extra special, that would be that much cooler. Now I don't remember what else was in the goodie bag aside from a program. I apologize if I missed something. Please let me know in the comments. But the final thing was a t-shirt that was exclusive to the VIPs. Like I said, I like the exclusive stuff, but this, I think the execution was not good, because here's the thing. The shirts only came in adult large. All they had was larges. And look, listen, I 100% understand why. People have been asking for Thirsty Thursday Toys shirts for years, and I've been kind of putting that off as I've tried to figure out how to do that logistically. Because a lot of these websites, like the shirts that I wear, I buy one at a time, and it's stupid expensive to just get one shirt with all these colors and stuff. At least these, the G-Fest ones, it was just black printing, so that really brings the cost down. But trying to get like a single shirt, find a place that does no minimum screen printing, it does get real expensive. Most places have a minimum order. You have to get like 25 of each size, or 50. There was one I was looking at, it was like 75. And I'm like, no, I can't have hundreds of shirts and like A, spend all that money up front, and B, be stuck with a bunch of inventory because it's like, oh, I only needed 3 smalls and 5 mediums kind of stuff. So I imagine G-Fest is up against the same kind of thing. When there's only 50 VIPs and some of these places have a minimum order of 50, they're not gonna buy hundreds of extra shirts just to make sure they have the right size. But I think going down the middle and going for large, I think that was the wrong choice. Not that any size would have been the right choice kind of thing. I just think that was poorly executed. Because I wear a medium. Depending on the brand, I could wear a small, it might be a little tighter on me, but a large, I'm swimming in. It looks like I'm wearing my dad's shirt or something. And it's embarrassing. I'm not gonna be walking around in that. But on the back, across the back, it said VIP. Now there's already a target on our backs because we are VIP. We get booed when we go into the vendor hall. I'll get back to that one. It's a fun tradition, I get it. But I'm like, yeah, I don't want an extra target. I don't want to be walking around, hey, look at me in my baggy shirt as a VIP, not wearing that. Luckily, I had a friend who collects the shirts, so I traded it. Great. I think what would be the best thing would be when you sign up for the VIP, or like right after, when they confirm, cool, you paid for the tickets and everything, then you fill out a form that says like, here's my shirt size. And then they get them printed, and it might cost them more. But here's the thing, if we're paying $230 for the experience, that's something that extra cost could go to. Now, what would make the most sense financially for G-Fest is to give us a voucher for a shirt that we can get at the merch table. And then we could pick our style, because they had the green one and they had, I think, like a white or a cream one. And then we could pick our size. And we could get exactly the shirt that we want. Now, it's not exclusive, but it's kind of a way to like, oh, part of that cost is you bought a shirt, basically. But it's included, so we might as well. The only place that I've seen do it worse was All Monsters Attack. The VIP came with a shirt, and we thought it was gonna be like an exclusive shirt for the show, because they've done that before. They didn't have any new shirts whatsoever. It was all old leftover stock. And some of them were like Days of the Dead, so it wasn't even All Monsters Attack specific. And they only had like X larges. Luckily, they let me pick something else from the merch table. So not a good year for VIP shirts. So G-Fest, I hope you're hearing this, and I hope you do something about it for the next group. I mean, I did see some kids, wearing these big shirts, and like, it's a kid, whatever, maybe they'll grow into it or something, but not the best way to do that. That didn't work. So now, Friday morning, if you recall, vendor hall opens at 10. VIPs get in half an hour early at 9:30, right? What's great about that is we don't have to wait in line. That line is hours long. Now, it was really nice to be able to sleep in, because most of the G-Fests, when I'm there Thursday, I'm hanging out with people Thursday night. I'm staying up really late, and then like I get 2 hours of sleep, and then I'm a zombie. So it was nice to like get 6 hours of sleep and wake up at 8, and then like come down all refreshed and like ready to go. So there's the main line, and then there's like the VIPs right here. Instead of getting in at 9:30, here's what happened. They accidentally printed the wrong times on the badge. So the VIP badge listed the general admission time, and the general admission listed the VIP time. They could have said, hey, sorry, we printed the badges wrong. It says 9:30, but really it's 10. But imagine you didn't know that the time was wrong. You just say, oh, cool, 9:30, great, I'm ready. And then you have to wait another half hour. That might be the straw that breaks the camel's back for some people. So they did a really cool thing. They said, hey, we're gonna honor that, but VIPs, we're still gonna honor your time, and you're still gonna get in half an hour early. So instead of 9:30, it's 9. So that was really cool. But that was not communicated with the VIP people unless you were there. So luckily I was there before 9 and I got to hear that announcement. But I imagine like you're a VIP, you think you're getting in at 9:30, you stroll on in at 9:30 and nope, you're getting in with everyone else. So that kind of sucks. I don't know if that happened to anyone, but it's 100% possible that it could have. We're waiting to get in, and there's a group of people who go in. I don't know who these people were. There was about a dozen of them. They had the general admission badges, so they were not VIP. They could have been like G-Fans helping G-Fans winners or something that you get to go in early. They could have been, I have no idea. One thing that I thought was really cool, there was a family of 4, a couple of little kids, and I'm like, that is a great use of VIP. Because you've got little kids, they're not gonna wake up at 5 in the morning to get in the vendor hall line. They're not gonna be able to handle standing there for an hour, gotta go to the bathroom kind of stuff. So to avoid all that, because your kids are gonna want little Godzilla figures and stuff, get the VIP, you could go in and out, and then see the panels, go to the Field Museum, do all that other stuff. That's fantastic. I saw those parents. I'm like, yep, 100% worth the cost to just get in and out and get that going. But 9 o'clock, they let us in, and we're like, great, cool. We get in as soon as the doors open. We're in, and there are lines inside already at some of the vendors because it's vendors and vendor helpers who are shopping, which I understand that happens, and that's some of the perks, and that's some of the reason that I've heard that some people do vend at shows so they can get in a little early and get some stuff. But it sucks. I know some events have like rules about like vendors not being able to buy stuff. I know at Decon they had like for some of the lotteries and stuff, they gave the attendees like wristbands that the vendors did not have. So if you didn't have a wristband, you couldn't participate in that stuff, which means vendors could not, because it's for the people who are paying to be there. Because vendors, you're already making money. You're already selling stuff. You're making that money. Don't take more from the attendees who are paying to be there. Granted, I realize, yes, you are paying to be there. You're paying a crazy amount for tables. What is it, $400, $500, $600 for a table or something? Well, that's a whole separate conversation we can have about the vendor hall as a whole. But it kind of sucked for some of us to have paid so much to get in early, to then have to be in line again behind, and something sold out. And that's the biggest issue. Like, you know what? Fine. Vendors, go grab your stuff. And if other vendors want to sell their stuff early, you know what? I get it. They're there to sell the things. If they can sell the things early, great. That's more of a guarantee that that stuff is gone. I don't like it. I get it. I don't know if G-Fest is going to do anything about that in the future, but it's the stuff that sold out. I got confirmation that some things sold out Thursday night. That means vendors were buying them up. Vendor helpers were buying them up. Maybe some people snuck in early. I'm not sure. Some people could have gone in like, oh, let me help you set up your table. And while I'm in here, let me go see this thing. Taking advantage of that situation, which is not cool. It truly sucks, which is stupid because it's like, oh, I didn't get the toy I wanted, which sounds like a really silly complaint. But I mean, this is our big thing. Some people go specifically for the vendor hall. They're looking for this thing. They want to get this exclusive, and to go in, even as a VIP, even to have paid that much as a VIP, and the thing you want is gone, that kind of ruins the whole thing. And like, it's one thing to go like, oh, it's sold out for the VIPs, and I'm general admission. Next year I'll get VIP. But if the VIP doesn't even guarantee that, then if that's what you're going to G-Fest for, there's no point in the VIP. Don't waste your money, because you'll need that money to buy it from scalpers on eBay. Now this is to the vendors. If we see next year at G-Fest on your tables those exclusives that sold out, there were some things I saw posted the weeks following G-Fest, people posting their G-Fest hauls and stuff, going like, oh, I'm so glad I was able to get this figure. And one of the things that I knew sold out, I'm seeing who's posting it. I'm like, oh, vendor, vendor, vendor helper, vendor. It's crazy that all these vendors were able to get the exclusive thing that nobody else was, which kind of makes you want to be a vendor, because if that's the way to do it, that's bananas. And I know that's not G-Fest specifically, but I think they could put down some rules. If they don't already have rules, maybe they had rules and those were just being broken. Vendors, let the attendees buy the stuff first. You're already there. You're already making money. I know it's a silly thing to get mad about, but it's kind of the principle of the matter. And I wish I could say it gets better, but I was only able to get to 2 or 3 vendors within that time. Before everybody else got in. And if you're doing the math, you'd go, wait a minute, half an hour, 2 or 3 vendors, you spent 10 to 15 minutes at a single vendor? That's crazy. That is crazy. That's not how much time I spent. We didn't get a full half hour. We got 15 minutes. Yeah, at 9:15, they said, you know what, go on in. So promised half an hour, got 15 minutes, and on top of that, there were already lines. So we spent maybe just a few minutes at each of these vendors, actually like looking at stuff and buying stuff. The rest was lines. And then everyone else comes in. I looked, it was 9:18. I turn around and I just see everybody. And I had friends who were waiting in line and they said, yeah, 9:15, they let us in. Again, like you can still get stuff in 15 minutes, that's fine. But put 15 minutes on the thing. Don't bait and switch and go, oh yeah, it's actually gonna be less time. So not off to a strong start, but you also have the autograph room open half an hour early. And that opens later than the vendor hall, because I think before they've had everything open at the same time. But this way you could stagger it. You could go in, vendor hall, get the exclusives, realize they're sold out, head on down to the autograph room, still get in early, right? So that was cool. Now, I did not end up getting any autographs this year. I have a very specific list of people who I want autographs from and like what I want to get autographs, and some of them I already had autographs from. And again, the tickets were sold before you knew who was going to be there. So it can be exciting, it can be disappointing. It's a complete gamble on if it's going to be worth it for the autograph stuff. So maybe you want to get everyone's autograph. Maybe you don't collect autographs at all. Think about that, weighing that price-wise for value for you. Now, I think one thing they did in 2024 was preferential seating, like front row seating for the panels. I don't think they did that this year. They did that for the opening ceremonies, but I think I was out at dinner at the time, so I missed that. And the costume contest, we'll get to that because I think that was Saturday. I mean, the panels were great. I think there was enough room that you didn't need, like, unless you really wanted front row seating. I was able to find a seat and hear and see just fine at every panel I wanted to go to. Also, speaking of the panels, thank you so much for everyone who showed up to our panel, the Kaiju Cuisine. That was awesome. That was like a dream to be up there on the G-Fest stage. So that was really cool. So thank you again for everyone who attended. And so now Friday night, you get the movies. Again, you don't know what movies it's going to be until after you've already bought the tickets. But you do get the tickets for Friday night and Saturday night. And I want to show you something in the G-Fest program. This is something that has been in here for years. Please remember, this is not riff tracks. Respect others' desire to see and hear the movies, sans funny commentary. Now, I like the Pickwick. It's great theater, tasty popcorn, great staff. It's not right around the corner. It requires driving. Luckily, I was able to catch a ride with some friends the past couple of years. That was really nice. I have had to do get a ride share or a taxi before, and that really does add up. And it is no longer worth it to me because of what the audience has turned into. The first G-Fest I went to, I want to say it was 2006. There was a lot of people speaking the characters' lines and stuff, and there is absolutely something to that. There's a camaraderie when you're in a room full of Godzilla fans and you're all saying Don Fry's lines from Final Wars. That's just a fun time. It's like when everyone is in on it. But it is also, a little frustrating when there's just so much other noise and stuff and I can't hear the movie, and it takes away from my enjoyment of the film. There were some people, laughing at the cheesy effects, and that's fine. And, I tell my students, during an assembly or a video or something, like, yeah, you are allowed to feel how you want to feel, react how you want to react, but just don't make it a problem for those around you. If you find something funny, laugh, go for it. If you find something shocking, you're allowed to, be surprised, but just don't be irritating about it, I guess. Or if you need to remove yourself to continue to feel something loudly somewhere else, do that. And I think that's something that could be taught to some of the audience here. There was a lot of people screaming stuff. If you're going to clap to the music, you have to stay on beat. It's like nails on a chalkboard. If you're just clapping to some beat, that's not what's happening here. It drives me insane. Just do it right, or don't do it at all. I would just rather go back and listen to the soundtrack, right? I'd watch it in my own room. There were a lot of people shouting memes at the screen. There was something, I think the final straw for me was it's Godzilla Jr.'s death. And someone shouts out like, "Oh no, they killed Kenny." I'm like, why are you here? Are you doing this because someone's filming you and you're gonna post this on TikTok? Or like, it's not a let's be the funniest person in the room contest. You're not here to entertain everyone else. That's what the film is. We're watching the film. And there was enough stuff like that I'm like, I'm not going back to the Pickwick. I don't have a good time watching those movies. I'm sorry. And here's the thing, I might be in the minority, because there was a lot of people doing it. There was enough people doing it that maybe you heard some of these things and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was friggin' hilarious. You know what? Honestly, more power to you. You enjoy. There's going to be one more seat in the theater for you because I won't be there. But it's a bummer. I imagine I'm not the only one feeling this way. Maybe I'm one of a few, and that's fine. If you like that kind of stuff, then hey, this might be an incentive to go, because that's your kind of people. That's your kind of audience. Go for it. It's just not for me. Now, jumping back to the early entry to the vendor halls, the main vendor hall and Artist Alley. First off, I love that Artist Alley is back, and I think they actually call it Artist Alley here. Yes, Artist Alley, which is awesome, because they had like Kaiju World and then like Kaiju Island, but now here it just said Dealer's Room and Artist Alley, and that's great. Artist Alley was one of my favorite things about G-Fest. I made friendships standing in line to get in. And it's awesome that there was a line of people who wanted these pieces of incredible art. So that's cool. So G-Fest, keep doing the Artist Alley stuff. One of the really nice perks with that is you get just in and out privileges. So for most of the weekend, there was a line for the vendor hall, even long after it had opened. I don't know how long you had to wait still. Maybe it was only, 5 minutes or something, but there was still a line because there's limited capacity. But if you had the VIP badge, you could just flash that, go in and out at ease, which is great. So that was a perk that I definitely used a bunch. The preferential front row roped off area for the costume contest, I forgot to mark down the time. So this is 100% on me. I did not use that because I forgot what time it was until it was too late. I was seeing pictures being posted. I'm like, oh shoot. So I didn't want to show up late and like scooch my way in front of people and be like, sorry, VIP, I got to get into the roped off thing. So I just let that be. So I'm a little mad that I missed that I forgot to set my alarm there. But that is a perk that I would have used. That does sound great, because like I said earlier, that fills up so fast, and there's just incredible stuff. I'm still months later seeing photos of just awesome costumes that I never saw out and about. And again, Saturday night, you do get the Saturday night movie ticket. That's included. Like I said, that was $15 if you want to experience that. Okay, now Sunday. I know a bunch of people leave Sunday morning. There are some people who stay until Monday. I've typically been doing that so that I can experience like the whole event. I want to be there. I want to see, the last few panels of the day kind of thing. I want to have, one last dinner with my friends kind of stuff. But, that does mean like taking that much more work off, which is not something that we can continue to afford moving forward. Here's one of the issues with that is the after party. I do have some issues with the after party. So the after party is at the Caddy Shack. So you want to walk, it's just down the street and around the corner to the other hotel to go to the Caddy Shack. I love the Caddy Shack. They have one of the best painkillers I've ever had. If you're a fan of coconut rum kind of cocktails, definitely try that. But drinks are not included, which is fair because drinks really vary in price. But I have been to some events that do have you get 2 drinks, or you get tokens. So it's you could get 2 beers or 1 cocktail, because that kind of balances out price wise, or a glass of wine kind of thing. So there is a way to do that. And with the cost of the entry into it, like I said, it was like $45 or something. It's buffet style, and there's enough. So it depends on how much you're eating. The Caddyshack isn't too terribly expensive. So that's like multiple meals worth of cost. I do like a buffet. I like their food, but I'm not eating $45 worth of food. Now, if there was a cocktail included, yeah, that would be so much more of my money's worth. But I know not everybody drinks, but part of the thing is, at least for 2024, it was specifically ages 21 and up. And I think that's just because it's at a bar, but also not necessarily, because you can have like a little roped off section and just like people sit at the bar here if they want to order drinks and everyone else is here and have like the food kind of in the middle. So I think that's a weird thing, because I've seen that done at other places where, drinks are included. So another issue with that is that you can, like I said, you can buy tickets to the after party separately. Now, the after party started at, it was like 8, 9, 10 p.m. or something. And like, that makes sense. They don't want to close early. So they have like their regular hours, and then they're open like later for that specific event. Or maybe they did close a little bit early. But if you're flying out Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, you're not going to want to stay there an extra night, basically. Like, cool, let me go to this after party that starts at 8 or 9 or 10. And then what, you have like catch a red eye just so you can get the buffet at the Caddyshack? You're like, no, I'm gonna go early. I'm gonna order the pulled pork sandwich or whatever. I'm gonna get that. It's what, $20, save a bunch of money and catch a flight home. So that only works if you're staying that extra night. And I know it doesn't make sense to have an after party before the thing is over, but I think a Saturday night thing or a Friday night thing would be better because people will be there. One of the other bummers is that, like, yes, okay, it is nice that they do offer tickets to the after party, so you could go. But Sunday night, there's a lot of other events going on. People, hanging out in their hotel rooms, hanging out in the lobby, going up to the Red Bar kind of stuff, where they don't have to pay to get in. So they could get food wherever. Maybe they might be ordering at the Red Bar, which is definitely more expensive, but it doesn't cost to be there. So there are people who are just hanging out with their friends and not going to this event. The biggest problem here for me is that there were people who wanted to get into the after party. They stopped selling the tickets for the after party before G-Fest started, which makes sense because they're like, cool, we sold this many tickets, which means we need to get this much food. And that does make financial sense. But also you had people turned away at the door who couldn't get in because they couldn't buy the tickets. They wanted to. They're like, let me get in. I got friends in there. If I got $45. If you're at the after party and you're like, my friends can't get in, I'm just going to go hang out with my friends and maybe even save some money, I'm going to go do that. So it's too late. It's not necessarily too expensive. I know some people were complaining about the price, but allow people to come in and pay it. And if you run out of food, then that's where you cut it off. If like people are coming in, you're like, yeah, this is enough food for, what do we have, like 23 people or something? Sure. But then when you get down to like the last few trays, stop allowing people. Because here's what happens. We go in, we get some food, we hang out for a little bit, and then we're like, let's go hang out with everybody else. And I know they were trying to make the after party thing. There's always some kind of shenanigans going on at G-Fest, and it makes sense to have something that's a little more structured and monitored and making sure that people aren't getting up to mischief. But I personally wouldn't pay $45 for that unless a bunch of my friends were in there. If everyone's going, heck yeah, let's go over to the Caddyshack, right? And that was my G-Fest experience. I realized there was a lot more negative than I remember, but just going through each of the things, and maybe you're like, dude, I want to get whatever autographs I can. That's amazing that I get to go in. I definitely love that kind of stuff at the movies. I want to go there. Then it might be absolutely worth it to you. 100%. Hey, I'm a size large. Great. That would be perfect. I love red. I don't know what color it's going to be, or if they're going to do more shirts next year, however that works. But like I said, it all depends. How much of this stuff makes sense for you and what you're looking for in the convention. I know most VIP things that I've been to have some kind of early access. Would typically like early entry, Friday and Saturday kind of stuff. You've got, a swag bag. I think Kaiju Brooklyn, they had this like cool little backpacky thing. That's pretty neat. A special lanyard and badge kind of stuff. Some little exclusive things. I've seen a bunch of like some art prints, which are really cool. Decon did that. Kaiju Go did that. the VIP experience for San Francisco Godzilla Fest, it's the night before the event. You get kind of like a meet and greet and dinner and drinks. I think it was just 1 or 2 drinks included. Obviously, that's something I care about here at Thirsty Thursday Toys. But it was, with the celebrity guests, which was really cool, and that's part of why that price was higher than most others. And I think that's some pretty good value. And like Kaiju Brooklyn, they also had like a pre-show event kind of thing the night before. That was pretty cool. And I do like that kind of stuff. And when you're trying to come up with something that works for all ages, because G-Fest, it's not just a 21 and up kind of thing. There's so many kids. I went when I was in high school, right? I couldn't experience that kind of stuff at 21 and up. So I know they have a lot to consider. And like I was explaining earlier, there's all the finances behind all this kind of stuff. But if you're charging more than any other VIP thing I've seen at any event that I've been to, I think they could do better with a lot of stuff. I don't know what it's going to be like for 2026. Maybe they've gotten rid of some things. Maybe they've added some new things. It's entirely possible that you'll be watching this after you get the information for what 2026 is going to be like. So you can say, oh, they're still doing this, or oh, they changed this, or oh, they've added this. I'm curious. I will not be getting VIP for 2026, partially because I won't be at G-Fest. Like I said, work and finances and stuff. I can't be doing this the way that I have. I've been traveling way too much, and it's not financially sustainable for me. But hey, that's one less person for competition for the tickets. I mean, it might still sell out in seconds unless they add a lot more or do something else to it. But hopefully, if that is something that you want, that you get, or if you're like, yeah, no, I'm happy with the general admission, I hope you get that too. Whatever you do, I hope you have a great time at G-Fest, or, having a great time doing what you're doing that's not at G-Fest, working your job, or whatever it is, looking at people's pictures on Instagram or Facebook and being like, man, I wish I was there next year, because absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? So I hope this answers the question to you of, is G-Fest VIP worth it? Like I said, maybe, and I hope this explains the maybe. If that is something that you still want to do, let me know what convinced you to do it. If you've done it before, let me know what you liked or disliked about it. But yeah, no, like I said, I haven't heard many people talking about their VIP experience at all. So I'm super curious to know everyone else's perspective, and if you experienced what I experienced, or if you had a significantly better time, or what worked for you, what didn't. So let me know how yours went. Let me know, come back to this after the 2026 G-Fest and let me know, hey, here's what they changed. Here's what I experienced. Here's what was better. Here's what was worse. I'm so curious. So in the meantime, if you are going to collect and drink, please do both of those things responsibly. Have a great time at G-Fest for those who are going to go. And if you're not going to go, you know what? I'll be here. Let's hang out and talk about how much, we wish we were in the vendor hall or hanging out with our friends or doing whatever we're doing. Cheers, everybody.